Hal Sparks, Mega Worldwide, your host, Mega Worldwide. And this is the show. And don't forget to like and subscribe and give a thumbs up because no one gives you the kind of entertainment I do, where I take the uncut and unedited clips that right wingers put online and judge them by what they say, not what I say they said, but what they are actually saying. Unlike our favorite, like Laura Ingraham, who yesterday sliced Jennifer Granholm's statements into two half sentences, and then see what she means. See, see what you mean. Yeah. No, not me. No, I show you. Even when it's something you don't want to see. Ladies and gentlemen, Dinesh D'Souza and Debbie D'Souza. Quadruple D. And yes, she has gotten whiter. I don't know how that happened. I think it might be a filter, but it's very... She's a ghost of her former self. Yes. So, some of you may know that Debbie D's, right over here, Debbie D's, is from Venezuela. And so she is often brought on to warn us of the dangers of socialism and the realities of socialism in Venezuela and elsewhere. This is the Debbie and I draw on our experience with socialism to identify the signs of creeping socialism in America, of which there is none. Not a pretty picture. That's right. I said none. Even in the Build Back Better plan, even in the most egregious things that they point out in the bills, the rescue package, any of that shit, all of it's either grants or what have you, but it's all money given by the government to individuals or businesses that are going to be hired to do certain things like make roads and shit like that. It's capitalism through and through. It's simply taxation with representation. It never was socialism. It's not fucking socialism. It's never going to be socialism. It's a stupid it's ridiculous. It's a dog whistle. It's a capitalist system. It always has been. Like fucking Medicare is capitalist, you dipshits. Social Security is capitalist. Gives people money to do with what they want. See, we had a bunch of old people who were having to choose between eating cat food or taking their medicine. Now we give them money every month after they've retired so that if they, they don't have to make that choice. But guess what? They still can if they want to. That's right, Grandma. If you like eating cat food, you don't have to stop. America's not showing up at your door with rationed food that you must consume. We're not dropping MREs off at the old folks' home. If you get your Social Security thing and go, this pate is fantastic, knock yourself the fuck out. We don't want Grandma to have to choose between medication and eating cat food. If she wants to do both, that's America. Jesus was not a liberal commie. He was I love that argument. John Fugelsang and I have talked about this. He was a deity. There's no even comparison to it. Everybody's a socialist when you can produce loaves and fishes magically. So if he was a socialist, he would have, instead of conjuring up loaves and fishes, he would have conjured up a factory full of workers who made the loaves and fishes. Yeah. Yes, and cat food is expensive. And by the way, do not mix these two things together. When I have said in the past that Taco Bell is cat food for humans, because it absolutely is. Remember Reagan cheese? Boy, do I. Jesus was not a liberal. He was a Christian. He drove the moneylenders from the temple, so he wasn't kind of. It's a silly argument. It's like all those things are ridiculous. It's like talking about Wonder Woman as if she's actually a woman. She's a deity. It doesn't even mix. Superman's not even a man. He's a Kryptonian who looks like a primate-based human, but he's not. If you have sex with him, he'll blow a hole in your lower back. He's not a man. It's not even close. Jesus drove a Pinto. Finally, someone who says something true. I'm a fapping deity. Well, all right. Well, there are those. The Hindus have them. The Greeks had them. All right, here we go. So this is Debbie D warning us about Venezuela.
Chatting this morning about your aunt and your aunt in Venezuela. She's in her 80s, and you're in constant
contact, and you haven't thought to bring her here because you're not a big fan, and she's kind of a pain in the ass. And
touch with her, and in a way, her life gives you a window into not just socialism over there, but creeping socialism in this country.
Right.
Talk a little bit about her.
Yeah.
Did she bring up the idea that right-wingers think that Biden should fix gas prices in the United States? Because I don't see any left-wingers who are allegedly for socialism asking for that at all. But I do see Republicans daily saying that Biden should do something about gas prices by executive order or executive fiat, and force oil companies and gas prices to bring gas prices down, which would be very Venezuela.
You know, at first I didn't really understand what she meant by, I have to go to this grocery store to get eggs, and then I have to go to this one to get bread, and then
because it's tasty. It's the local thing. I have to go to the bakery to get bread. Why don't they have eggs at the bakery? All right, never mind.
Go to this one to get.
By the way, how many eggs?
5 eggs.
I'm just gonna guess. I'm just guessing.
5 eggs in a month.
That's all they get.
5 eggs.
I don't even know if she deserves it, but
Eat
you
2
are.
eggs a day.
That's right. Venezuela has eggs.
5 eggs.
Let's see. 5 milks. Right.
Something else. I never really I was like, oh yeah, that's terrible. Or, I can't find toilet paper anywhere. I have to use Kleenex, or I have to use.
Yeah, that's not a downgrade. That's like saying, milady, the people, they have no toilet paper. Let them wipe with cake.
A towel and wash it and this and that. It just really didn't, while I thought it was horrific.
Yes, using a towel and washing it. Maybe a bidet, perhaps a hose.
I didn't understand it. I couldn't put myself in her shoes to see what.
And you still fucking can't, you dizzy moron.
Feeling.
And
by the way, we had outhouses when I was a kid. During the time we were remodeling our house, we had an outhouse dug for 9 months. Afterwards, we took the shed that was the outhouse and moved it, filled in the top of the hole with dirt. And then the shed was used to store my dad's gunpowder for his muzzle loaders. Also lead for making shot. So it might explain a lot.
Just the shortages, the empty stores in Venezuela, but talk about how the price escalation, the levels of inflation. I mean, we help your aunt a little bit,
Right.
but we've decided to help her a little more.
Yeah.
And say why.
Yeah. So my
Because she was starving, and we're like, well, how starving?
aunt used to get a pension, and really her pension was pretty good. In American standards, it was probably I would say about $10,000 a month, pension. She's in her
I beg your pardon.
80s. And all of a sudden, Venezuela's currency really became worthless.
Gee, why would that be?
Inflation rate was 1,000,000%. We can't even imagine that, right? We're
Perhaps she should use that as toilet paper. The Venezuelan. Sorry.
5% inflation, 1,000,000% inflation. So her $10,000 became like a quarter cents, 25 cents.
Yeah. Are you listening, Dinesh? You said you were listening this morning during breakfast.
versus $10,000. It was almost nil. So we had,
And meanwhile, with that shrunken currency,
Meanwhile.
like we go to the grocery store, if you buy a roasted chicken, it's, what, $3, $4.
yeah. So
What about
my aunt says that to buy a chicken in Venezuela costs about $20 to $30. So obviously she can't afford protein. She can't afford to eat protein. At her age, she should be eating a healthy diet of protein.
Yeah, we would feed my grandmother a chicken a day, pretty much. I mean, that was all she ate. The hard part was getting her to crawl down out of the attic. By the way, people starving in another country is a serious topic. Both of these people are inserious. I'm not going to treat this like it's a real fucking conversation. And the fact that these assholes actually think that they can compare what they're going through to what she allegedly her aunt is going through is horse shit.
And carbs and all of those things. She can't do that. So
No.
So every day we buy her a chicken and a bun, and she just has to.
For Americans in general, this is incomprehensible. I know
Yeah.
when I was growing up, we didn't have those kinds of shortages, but we did have.
Yeah, we did. In the 70s, we had that kind of thing. We had inflation. We had stagflation. It was way worse because it was out of our hands. It was caused by oil prices, which was and then there was huge unemployment. We don't have that now. No one thinks we do. You're full of shit.
Was ration cards
Yeah.
because everything was processed through the government and you were allotted a certain
Yeah.
amount, so much rice, so much cooking oil, and so on. But Americans are now getting a taste of it, not
Right.
just under COVID, but under Biden.
right. And you often talk about India and the rationing in India.
We're getting a taste of it. Oh, are we now?
But the difference, and then I bring up Venezuela, is that Venezuelans were not used to that. I think in India, that is how you grew up and you didn't know anything.
Yeah, you guys were used to poverty. You know what I mean? This was sprung on us. This is getting uncomfortable. Is this how all their conversations go? She's like fixes herself a nice meal and then fixes him like scraps and garbage. That's what you're used to eating. What the fuck?
Different. Venezuelans were used to going to the grocery store and getting whatever they wanted. They could get the brand of shampoo they wanted, the brand of toilet paper they wanted, anything, right? And then all of a sudden they had to have ration. They rationed it because they didn't have enough. And what happens with socialism, and I want everybody to kind of realize this, during COVID, when you went to the grocery store and you were super frustrated because you went and there was no toilet paper, or you went and there was no,
Yeah, like 3 weeks during COVID. At the beginning, when everybody bum rushed, no pun intended, for buying toilet paper. Because it was a stock issue. It filled right back up. It's not the same fucking thing. This is not enduring months and months and months of hardship. And the idea that you would even conflate the two shows that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
of eggs that you typically get was gone. The milk.
Yeah, the typically get part. Jesus Christ.
You like no
Thanks for-
more. You
Thanks for spotting that, Pukache. Just saying.
had to get the generic milk or milk that you never really liked. So you
For fuck's sake, like how gross is this? Talking about people who literally lost everything because of effectively a governmental collapse and are now having to face like harsh rationing and all this kind of shit. And during a rush in the beginning of a pandemic when everybody was going to be locked down and nobody was going to go out, everybody ran out and got a bunch of shit so they could wait the fucking thing out. And the shortages lasted all of 3 fucking weeks. And her idea, you couldn't get the eggs you usually get or the milk you like. Get the fuck out of here.
had to get things at the grocery store that weren't really what you were used to. That is the reality of socialism permanently.
Well, let's say why.
Thank
What
you,
happens is
Susanna.
the government imposes increasingly confiscatory taxation. It drives these private companies out of
Yeah, that's what it was. Venezuela at increasingly confiscatory taxes. The price of oil fell out, dum-dum. They were flush with cash because they nationalized oil. And then oil took a shit. And they didn't diversify when they had the chance. Because they decided to create social safety nets with no business safety net concurrently. Because they were basically paying off the people so that they would get reelected. It wasn't so. If it was socialism to some degree, instead of just graft, they would have nationalized the oil, nationalized the production, had people work in the production facilities, used that money that they had coming in to seed other businesses, that they would produce other things from Venezuela that would keep them afloat if any one of these things, if people stopped eating pineapple all of a sudden, if people stopped buying gas all of a sudden, whatever the multitude of things they could produce. But if you put all your eggs in one basket, and that basket has a giant fucking hole in it the next day, what the fuck does that have to do with confiscatory taxes?
Then the government goes, oh, they're not providing eggs. They're not providing, so we need to do it. So the government takes it over, and then you get a government run, but then you have one type of toilet paper. It's the generic brand.
It's the national brand. And why? Because
Yes, it's patriotism in its highest form.
all of these companies that are not making a profit anymore leave. They're no longer there. So goods and services can no longer be provided by private.
Yeah, but that's not because of confiscatory tax policy, you asshole. That's because they put all their money in one basket and the basket fell out. There was no money. The money wasn't worth anything. It didn't go anywhere. There was nothing to back the currency. They had nothing to show for it. That's why the businesses left. Because these people could throw as much of the money at them as they wanted, but it wasn't good anywhere else. The fuck?
Individuals or private companies, they leave the scene, and the only thing left is a national company that makes toilet paper like sandpaper. And
Now that's cleanliness. I'm just saying. I mean, Venezuelans, say what you will, but like a baby's ass, just the most exfoliated bums out there, like sandpaper. Get what? By the way, do I think this woman has ever touched a piece of actual sandpaper? No. That's shit. She had to use tissue. She had to use Kleenex. Toilet paper splinter, knot holes. Yeah. They were using dot matrix printer paper. And you know how once the perforations start to break, that's a cut you don't want to have. Pine cones, right. Corn on the cob, baby. Where's my fellow Kentuckians at?
so that's what happened.
It's like a stack. Just give me like a stack of cobs under my arm. This is a big.
And it's
I mean, I'm thinking about
Yeah.
all these young people. They're so used to an abundant standard of living, and we know it with our own kids. They take things for granted that we never had. And
Yeah, when we were young, we had to use sandpaper. Like, well, you used sandpaper because you grew up rich in Venezuela. Where I came from, we used just fistfuls of sand. You couldn't even. You were so weak, you couldn't even rub it up and down. You just kind of chuck a handful of sand at your ass. Oftentimes, you would fall right into the river. Shut the fuck up.
And yet, these are people who think somehow socialism is
Really?
idealistic. It's gonna make things better. But I mean,
Well, obviously, you've raised your kids poorly. Yeah, that's how your kids think that way. Their dad is Dinesh D'Souza. Their mother is a racist from Venezuela. And if you don't believe me, look at the shit she says about immigration. I thought, I admit my own sexism. I thought as a woman she would be a mitigating voice for some of Dinesh D'Souza's more extreme takes on immigration. Nope. He was having to slow her roll.
what they don't realize is that socialism is drab. It's uniform. It's one size fits all.
Yeah, it is not sexy. I mean, obviously. I mean, sure, those Che Guevara hats and those Mao jackets look cool on the rack, but if that's the only thing you get to wear, it gets a little dull after a while. Dork and Mindy.
It's a kind of hollowing out of the soul, and socialist societies are really
Well, yeah, I mean, eventually, if you sandpaper, if you really start, no, sorry.
oh,
Well, yeah, nobody has the will to do anything anymore.
Yeah, I mean, she's just sitting there. She can't do anything. She can't make. I need a chicken. Nobody has the will to do anything. hold on 1 second. Let's see. Where was this guy? Let's see if I can find. There you go. Yeah, I don't see a lot of activity in Venezuela. These people look exhausted. They just aren't motivated. It's you know what I mean? It makes you lazy. You know what I mean? After years and years and years, they can't even get out of bed anymore, you know? After a while, they just by the way, this is the fucker that turned in Han Solo, and I'm never going to forgive him for it. Fuck that guy. Anyways, I don't even know how he got in here. Yeah, just I mean, this is obviously a level of laziness that you'd see. They just don't have the energy to do anything. You know what I mean? They just all they can say is yes. These lazy Venezuelans. That was not Greedo. That's not who I'm talking about. No. Greedo, by the way, Han shot first. I'm not talking about him. You guys know who I'm talking about. It's not Greedo. It's the dude with the big, he's dark. Yeah, Garandon. That's right. That dude. Anyways, lazy, nothing but lazy, right?
I mean, think about it. If you're given, and then you actually think.
Oh, sorry. What? If you're given what? If you're given everything, this is like, all right.
That whatever you're given by the government is good, but you were used to like going to a coffee shop with your iPhone and you're doing Snapchat with your friends and things like that. Well, I don't think Apple would like being taxed at 90%. Do you really think Apple could operate that way? So what would
No, that's why no one is suggesting anything even remotely close to that. What they're talking about is a 15% base tax across all Western countries, which they have fundamentally achieved. That's based on profits, and if they roll stuff into R&D, development, expansion, that's not going to get counted. As a matter of fact, even with that 15%, what do you think the chances are they're going to pay more than 3?
And Apple would cease to exist. And do you think?
Right. That's why there are no Venezuelan iPhones. Next, what the fuck are you talking about?
That the government could come up with an Apple product?
I mean, it's a secret. It's a secret wish.
I mean, come on. You think Nancy Pelosi could get? I mean, we know that Trump created the vaccine with his CRISPR-Cas9 setup, but do you think Nancy Pelosi could create? I mean, sure, it may be a Samsung 6 at best.
Progressives to control those companies.
Yes.
I mean, their main objection to Facebook is that Facebook is doing censorship.
Facebook? What kind of product are we talking about with Facebook? One that can be easily replaced tomorrow by the next big thing that comes along? That's wholly different than a company that makes physical phones and computers, dum-dum.
Behalf, but they want to do it themselves. So they want it to be Biden censorship and not Zuckerberg censorship.
Yeah.
So
What do you mean, yeah? What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and if,
I lost my train of thought. What was I bullshitting about?
we have chats like this all the time, and
to be a fly on the wall. I feel like we could all bond with them.
you're now on Locals, Dinesh.locals.com.
He's excited. Dinesh.locals.com. This turned into an ad for Locals.
It's really fun. The last couple of weeks you've been doing
so fun. It's fun. We've been doing these fun things. It's been fun.
These Q&As Thursday
yeah, I mean,
nights.
I do some some content that's censored elsewhere.
Yeah,
you just
exactly.
Can't talk about.
You talk about pretty much everything, and so you get a little window into our like living room and my office.
Fucking pass, hard pass, hard pass.
Because that's where you hang out mostly.
Yeah, and the Q&As are cool. I mean, we do.
Oh, sorry. He hangs out in the living room mostly? Yeah? No, he's not. Doesn't he realize there's a war on men? He's not outside with a fucking shovel? Why aren't you chopping wood, Dinesh? Hanging out in the living room. The problem is, you live in a country where, that kind of, it's allowed. How are you allowed to do that? Good times create weak men. Haven't you read for God's sake, Dinesh?
Podcast, people can send in questions and I try to answer from time to time, but I do a kind of freewheeling no hold.
I get it. I bet it's just fucking magic. It's just rolling off the tongue, baby. Like I don't even have to. This is a fact-free zone.
Barred 45-minute, 30 to 45-minute Q&A once a week. It's Thursday. I'm going to do one on Locals this
7:30
Thursday.
Eastern.
7:30 Eastern. And it's just Dinesh.locals.com.
Yeah, and I come in and sneak.
Why are you looking at her? She knows. Love, exciting and new. Come aboard. We're infecting you.
At the end and give you like
Tell me where I went wrong. Correct my errors.
the Debbie Dsouza podcast. Thank you very much. My husband likes to tease me about it.
Cucking cuckness, cuck. Set the cuck alarm. Someone set off the right-wing cuck alarm. Someone get Tucker Carlson on the phone. He's got to send in the cuck squad. Stop this. This is a woman is being able to look. She's touching a man without permission. Why is she not 6 feet behind him? Why is this joke even allowed? Cucking.
I'm a little bit of a control freak, in case you hadn't noticed.
The outfits. I'm a bit of a control freak. You think?
So.
No, I think actually people like the interaction because
it's fun.
Yeah, you would think that, wouldn't you? Look at this still frame. Now, I didn't choose this. But this is, these are the kind of accidental freeze frames you get when two people are just having too much fun together. Just too much. Yeah. Yeah, definitely Wapner. Definitely good time. Definitely Debbie podcast. Definitely Debbie podcast. Yeah. Jesus.
Fun. And, we don't always talk politics, but a lot of times we do. And
well, that tells me a lot. Thanks. I mean, I'm sold. I don't even know why.
So to get a
Well,
little
I mean,
bit
I've posted on all kinds of topics. But
Yeah.
you were laughing at
Oh,
the
yeah.
post I did on locals about different types of food and which
Oh
cuisines,
my gosh,
which
I was like,
cultures
are you
take.
boring?
Oh, it's so funny. Remember how I was saying that some cultures' foods are garbage? Remember? When I said that yeah, that some are good and superior and others are trash and indicative of the societies and the people that eat them. Remember when I said that? And I was like, stuff. Oh,
These people with all the foods and
No. It's
Yeah.
no.
these people with all the foods and the this is like someone it's like reading someone's Yelp review. They were reading while they were leaving the place driving. They were in an accident and then their face just smashed onto the screen and random letters just kept typing until the ambulance arrived.
So,
It was about which
anyway.
cultures take cuisine seriously.
Yeah. So anyways, that's a lot of fun. But the
Yeah. Yeah, anyway, so remember baby, it was it was great. It was great. Yeah, anyway. Look at this.
these people with all the foods and
No. It's
Yeah.
no. I mean,
So,
it was about which
anyway.
cultures take cuisine seriously.
Yeah. So anyways, that's a lot of fun. But the socialism
Ow! Oh, fuck, this is awful. You know what? I'm beginning to think that Holly and Tucker might be onto something. Hey guys, maybe an intervention into the Dinesh D'Souza house. We have an acute attack right now happening. Is there somewhere like you can full on, please send someone in? Yes. I got a good idea. Parachute this idiot in. Send D'Souza. Well, I mean, obviously Bongino probably does the same thing in his house. Yeah, anyway, so whatever you were saying, shut the fuck up.
is a definitely something that that is a very
She went in after the fact and dropped this producer Dinesh D'Souza podcast. Ouch! Jesus Christ! Why don't you just put his nuts in a microwave? Yeah. Anyways, and then wham with the producer credit. Oh God, this is hilarious. We're so much fun. You guys really are going to want to watch us talk and stuff. Seriously, this is making my
serious topic, and we like to we talk about it, number one, because I personally deal with it with my family in Venezuela, and I see what it's done to their soul, and I don't want that here in America for any.
No, I don't want them here in America. That's why they're still down there. We're not going to sponsor them to come up here no matter how bad it gets. Ew. They keep talking about how nice Biden is.
I don't even
Serious,
wish it
yeah.
on the left.
I mean, it's easy
know?
to get into, and it's really hard to get out of.
Once you have it,
Just like this relationship.
I don't think you'll ever get out of it.
Jesus Christ. What a horrifying. They posted that. All of that blather was the realities of socialism in Venezuela and elsewhere. We are nowhere near any of that shit. India didn't have socialism when he was talking about eating dirt when he was a kid. They don't experience it now, nor are they. You don't have the type of milk that you usually like. I mean, this is creeping socialism. You don't understand. The first step is they're out of almond amaretto creamer in the 2%, because I'm not the only one watching my figure version. And then you have to go whole on that. It makes you a little gassy. And then the next thing you know, you're in a gulag. And the only dairy you get is those little creamers that you have to smuggle out of the commissary in your ass after your re-education class. Shit. Okay. I'm trying to reset on this one. All right. Thanks for tuning in, by the way. Don't forget to spread the show around, like and subscribe, give a thumbs up. This is the only place you're getting this kind of programming, honestly. Only place. And if you're seeing it anywhere else after this, it's because they've stolen it from me, because it's excellent. And over the course of me doing these programs, you have seen it many times that I have fact-checked instantaneously on the fly the bullshit that it gets tossed around. And even when the facts are uncomfortable for some of the people on my side, I will even bring them up. That's how I am.